Who is telling the truth about the riots? Elon Musk or Sir Keir Starmer? It's time now for the head-to-head. Musk today took to the social media platform to ask the Prime Minister, why aren't all communities protected in Britain?
Musk has taken a hard line, pointing out how, while violent criminals are getting away, regular citizens are being punished for sharing opinions online.
Elon Musk just destroyed Keir Starmer on live TV, and it shocked everyone. The great Elon Musk, who has somehow found time between launching rockets and annoying the internet, decides to call out Britain's Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. No one saw it coming, least of all Starmer, who thought he was in the clear. The moment Musk dropped the bombshell, it was like watching a masterclass in verbal destruction. And trust me, Starmer probably never imagined he'd get roasted so badly by the tech mogul.
They want Elon Musk gone, X turned off, and freedom of speech stamped out. Starmer himself has said he's going to look at social media laws in the wake of the riots and even revisit the Online Safety Act. And right on cue, of course, the Westminster elite are now circling.
Musk is going after the UK's so-called justice system, calling out the fact that while serious criminals walk free, everyday folks are getting thrown in jail for sharing their opinions online. But hey, at least they're protecting free speech, right? Apparently, the man who sends rockets into space and builds self-driving cars has a lot to say about British politics, specifically the mess Starmer's making. Musk doesn't just throw shade, he's exposing the UK's dirty little secrets, and trust him, it's not pretty.
I mean, there were, and this is the sort of stating fact, there were migrant rape gangs in England that were gangs that would run around and prey on young girls, gang rape them.
Well, Elon Musk is certainly not intimidated. He continues to speak out, particularly on what's happening in the UK right now, much to the frustration of the elites.
Elon Musk takes aim at Starmer's biggest blunder yet, ignoring the farmers protesting government policies that are slowly suffocating their livelihoods. Starmer, supposedly the voice of the working class, can't even be bothered to show up for a meeting. Musk doesn't hold back, calling out Starmer for being so out of touch with regular people. It's almost impressive. Musk's tweets have raised more than a few eyebrows, and it's clear he's on a mission to defend free speech. He's standing firm even if the UK government tries to silence him, or maybe just keep him distracted with legal threats. Starmer's approval ratings? Let's just say they're sinking faster than a lead balloon, and it's not because people love his policies.
I mean, there were, and this is the sort of stating fact, there were migrant rape gangs in England that were gangs that would run around and prey on young girls, gang rape them. And some people found that objectionable, which obviously it should be objectionable. And they were upset about that. And so they complained about it online and were sent to prison. That sounds crazy.
Musk also didn't hold back when he pointed out one of Starmer's biggest blunders, his handling of the farmers' protests.
Musk also calls out Starmer's handling of crime or lack thereof. Crime rates are rising, the justice system is failing, and yet Starmer's out there playing it safe, more concerned about political correctness than actual safety. Who knew? The public's starting to get it. Starmer's actions are making him look more like he's playing for global elites than the everyday Brit, who's dealing with skyrocketing crime rates and a government that just doesn't seem to care. Musk's criticism? It's only making it worse for Starmer. The guy's approval ratings are tanking, and it's clear to everyone that he's not the man for the job.
Sir Keir Starmer, I must say, is acting like a weak man trying to be strong during this crisis.
Musk called this a massive error in judgment, questioning why Starmer is so out of touch with the struggles of working-class people. It's no wonder people are losing faith in the government when the opposition leader can't even engage with people on the ground who...
As if that wasn't enough, Musk even goes as far as to warn that things could escalate. Musk is openly suggesting that if Starmer's policies keep going in the same direction, the UK might be heading straight for societal collapse. Now that's a statement. But then again, this is the guy who's got a rocket in his backyard. Musk's comments have the UK public questioning everything. Is Starmer putting British citizens first? Or is he too busy trying to please everyone else? Musk's call to action couldn't be clearer. Stop focusing on punishing people for their thoughts and start dealing with actual crime. Simple enough, right? But Starmer's team? They're scrambling. Musk's call to action is crystal clear. It's time to stop punishing people for their thoughts and focus on tackling real crime. It's a message that cuts to the heart of the matter, isn't it? For all the rhetoric and the political posturing, it's the safety and security of the public that should come first. But instead, Starmer and his team seem to be caught in the weeds, scrambling to defend policies that don't seem to resonate with the everyday struggles of ordinary Brits. It's almost like they're too busy trying to appease the woke crowd or cater to a broader political base, rather than focusing on the core issues that matter most to the average citizen.
Stupid decision. Stupid decision. You know, what else can you say? Small people behaving in a small way. Not that Elon would care less. I imagine, being slighted like that, I suppose it would annoy a person or feel a little hurt. But I mean, I don't think he gives, you said something about he hates Starmer. I don't think he gives Starmer a second thought. So, I really don't. So,
well, let's just say, Errol, that...
Apparently, Elon couldn't care less about the drama. Does he lose sleep over Keir Starmer and his government? Errol, Elon Musk's father, doesn't hold back, calling Starmer and his crew small people who have no business in charge. Honestly, he says they should just resign. It's all a big joke to Errol. And while the world keeps turning, the small people will keep complaining. And those who are actually doing something, they'll keep winning.
He's in a brawl with Britain's Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. I must say he's acting like a weak man trying to be strong during this crisis. Starmer tweeted, "We will not tolerate attacks on mosques or on Muslim communities," to which Musk quite reasonably replied, "Shouldn't you be concerned about attacks on all communities?" Isn't Musk right? Hasn't he put a finger on something that's angering the anti...
Starmer's idea of being a strong leader is making weak statements about protecting mosques. Oh, and let's not forget the whole "we won't tolerate attacks on Muslim communities" bit. But here's where Musk, in his infinite wisdom, swoops in. He asks the shocking question, shouldn't we be concerned about attacks on all communities? Yep, that's right. Musk dares to suggest that maybe, just maybe, the rest of the population might also deserve protection. Radical, I know. But of course, no one in British politics would dare utter such an obvious point. Musk's suggestion challenges the status quo, which unfortunately tends to divide people into groups based on race, religion, or ethnicity. His remark subtly exposes the weakness in Starmer's leadership. By singling out one group for protection, Starmer inadvertently alienates others and creates a sense of division. What about the Christian communities, the Jewish communities, or anyone else who might also be at risk of attacks? Should their concerns be disregarded just because they don't fall under the same umbrella of protected groups in the political discourse?
This is why the anti-immigration protesters are so angry, and the more that they keep being called racists and bigots, the more that pressure cooker continues to boil, and as we've seen in the last week, it's absolutely exploded. And what we've seen with Keir Starmer's response, as well as the mainstream media in the UK...
Well, instead of considering Musk's point, or heaven forbid, actually addressing the real issue, Starmer sticks to the easy, politically safe route. It's all about migrant communities, and by the way, don't you dare question that. If you do, you're a bigot. Simple as that. No nuance, no actual debate, just a solid, let's keep it as basic as possible approach. And why? Because that's what every politician does when they're too scared to rock the boat. Musk? Well, he's hitting on something much bigger. The anti-immigration crowd is seething, and for good reason. They're tired of being demonized as racist for pointing out that immigration policies might be failing. But hey, why address the real frustration when you can just label people as bigots and call it a day? It's much easier to deflect the problem and throw labels at anyone who dares to question the status quo.
This guilt that gets thrust upon white people who are historically perceived to have privilege, and therefore no, it can't possibly be the fault of ethnic minorities or migrants. It's this perception of unconscious bias. Therefore, it's easy. It's so easy and safe for Keir Starmer to take that safe route and not say we need to look after all communities. It's just all about the migrant communities. And you can't just lump everybody into this far-right category when there are so many people who are genuinely concerned about the state of migration, which has clearly failed in the UK, and the state...
And then comes the real kicker. The UK's leaders, led by Keir Starmer, are playing the ultimate political game: cowardice. Instead of doing the hard work of actually solving issues, Starmer keeps parroting the safe, comfortable rhetoric of unconscious bias and migrant protection. Because why would anyone want to talk about how immigration and integration are failing, right? Let's just keep blaming everything on unconscious bias and pretend that will fix things. Here's the thing. Starmer's playing the same tired game that most leaders play when they're too afraid to actually take a stand. By keeping things focused solely on migrant communities, he's avoiding the real issues. After all, it's way easier to talk about how privileged white people need to do better than to ask tough questions about how migration is being handled. But, as we all know, tough questions are dangerous territory, and politicians would rather not go there.
Integration, and that's not just also happening in the UK, Andrew. There are obvious concerns back here in Australia, but our leaders are so scared of being called racist that it's just easy for them to take the safe route, which is what we're seeing with Keir Starmer.
Meanwhile, the people in the UK who are genuinely concerned about migration and integration are ignored. Their frustrations labeled as bigotry. But hey, as long as Starmer is getting those easy political wins, who cares, right? This is exactly what happens when leaders prefer the safe path instead of confronting real problems head on. And just to make this even more laughable, this isn't just a UK problem. Over in Australia, the leaders are doing the exact same thing. They're so terrified of being labeled as racist that they avoid confronting anything controversial. And how do they do that? By staying silent, hoping the problems magically disappear. So yes, the political elite, both in the UK and Australia, have mastered the art of doing nothing while pretending they're doing everything. At the end of the day, what we're witnessing is a bunch of leaders playing it safe. They'd rather keep making empty statements than actually address the growing tensions. And as for Keir Starmer, well, he's got the playbook down. Avoid real problems, pander to certain groups, and hope no one notices. The question now is, can Starmer recover from this? Can he pivot and refocus on what the people actually want? Or will he continue down this path, playing political games while the UK's pressing issues are left unresolved? Musk's bombshell is far from a mere soundbite. It's a direct challenge, and the clock is ticking for Starmer to prove he's got what it takes to lead effectively. Stay tuned for more.